moving on, we have a presentation about unlock your digital potential through innovation. We have a video to have a look at for this. Unlimit yourself. Wasn't that interesting to have a look at that video? And now to actually give us this presentation, we have with us Murad Daniyel, Regional Director of GCC North at Optimizely. With over 12 years of experience focused on customer experience within the GCC, both on the services and product side, his vision is to help clients in driving better innovations and results in their digital ecosystems. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Murad Daniyel.
Good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone doing? My name is Murad Daniyel. I'm the Regional Director for Optimizely here in the Kingdom of Saudi, Bahrain, and for Kuwait. So just before I start, little show of hands. Who's a core digital marketeer in the room? We have 1, 2, IT professionals, 2, 3. Okay, so a little bit of a mix. Okay. So I've been working in the Saudi region for about 12 years. On the services side, on the product side, helping clients to transform the way they do business over the years, right? You guys have gone through an unbelievable period in the last 5 years where the explosion, the rate at which you've had to step forward as marketeers is unparalleled. The vision that the kingdom has today to become the leader in all aspects of experience is a heavy burden on your shoulders as marketeers, right? So why do I talk about that? Well, there's a reason why some companies exist. Why do we do what we do? And at Optimizely, we're all about unlocking your digital potential. So what does that mean? My job, Optimizely's job, the reason why we exist is to give you the most sophisticated products, the most sophisticated tools to provide the most seamless and easy experience that you can as a digital owner that truly delivers outsized outcomes. Okay, so what do we mean by that? Well, we spent a long time in thinking about we need to create an amazing experience. You spend a lot of time on design, you spend a lot of time on content, right? But how do you know what that returns in terms of an outcome? And this is where Optimizely's ethos sits. We want to help you guys become the best you can be in a digital world. So there's a little bit of background about Optimizely. We've been in the region, we set up back in February of this year, but as a brand, we've been in the market for well over 20 years. We're lucky enough to have around 9,000 customers, multiple different locations, and we help clients from all different industries, all different sectors, deliver outsized outcomes. Whether you're the Visas of the world, whether you're the H&Ms, the Spotifys, the Netflix, we work with brands that really value their customers and really value innovation at the heart of what they do. We're very lucky to be a strong leader in 7 different categories when you look at Gartner and Forrester. If you're talking about digital experiences, if you're talking about commerce, if you're talking about marketing orchestration. So we truly believe and we truly follow through with the fact that innovation is the heart of what we do. Now, everyone talks about COVID. we spent nearly 3 years in an area and in an era where there was a lot of negativity. But for you as marketeers, there was a challenge there, right? You had to shift, you had to innovate in an extremely fast time, right? So that posed a relative positive for you guys. You found out that actually, we don't have to sit through the normal bureaucracy of innovation where it takes time. You had to get to market quite fast, right? So a lot of companies went through a quick shift in that period of time, which is great, right? Because as a lot of people have spoken over today and yesterday, there was a shift in expectation from the consumer. Now, some companies did that very well. Some companies found that difficult. And there's a reason behind it as well, right? So when we talk to marketeers, we find on average that a typical marketing organization will use 43 different technologies within their MarTech stack, right? That's a lot. It's not a lot from the idea of maintaining it from an IT perspective and whatnot. It's a lot when you have to collate all of this data, right? Gives you guys as marketeers a more difficult job to get to action quick. We saw this, and there's many reports out there of companies like GE, Ford, Procter & Gamble, who spent a huge amount of money on this transformation, and they failed. And they failed for a couple of reasons. They failed in terms of time to market. They failed in changing consumer expectations. They failed in the idea that they had no effective communications of their goals and strategy. So how do we try to mitigate that? Well, as marketeers, you guys live in a world where you have to create content at an extremely rapid pace today, right? You have multiple channels, you have all of these different streams of content that you need to provide. And we get living in a world over the last 5 to 10 years of commoditizing your content, right? And what do I mean by that? It was about building an amazing website, building an amazing app, and let it work, right? But the reality is that before you even get to the point of a CMS or a mobile app, there's about 85% of work that goes before everything is ready to go out there to the consumer. So what do we talk about? You hear a lot that content is at the core of great customer experience, but what does that really mean, okay? You guys have a lot of work on your hands where you've got to create all of this different type of content for all the different channels, right? You might reuse the same content in different areas. You might have to completely change the narrative for the different stories that you're telling, right? So how content happens from ideation to publication impacts your bottom line. As digital owners today, as marketeers, you have a couple of challenges. Sorry, I'm smiling because my colleagues are taking photos in the background. Thanks, guys. You have a challenge. Number one, you have a task to reduce your cost as effectively as possible. But at the same time, by reducing your cost, you have to improve and deliver outstanding ROIs today. I mean, that's a very difficult job, right? So where does that start and where does that begin? And Gartner have a similar philosophy to us. They understand that brands who understand their customers and craft contextually relevant, journey-aligned content will be the ones that stand out, okay? So how do we, as Optimizely, help the clients that we work with to achieve that? You go through a journey where it's extremely complex, it's slow, and expensive to create content for the entire stack that you have, right? You have to rely on external agencies because we live in a world where everyone works with an external agency, multiple ones at that, depending on the size of your organization, as well as the internal business units that you have to go through for different things. I've worked with many a marketing team that says, we're waiting on product. I've worked with many product teams that say, well, we're waiting, we've got the product information ready, but we're waiting for marketing for the campaign. So how does that come back to this notion of the 85%? Well, 85% of the work happens before you get to that CMS stage, before you get to the website, before you get to your mobile app, to your platform. And what does that mean? You have to work as marketeers to create all of these different ideas, right? Everything starts with a great idea. Whether it gets executed or not is a different thing, right? But the core is ideation. So we look at the ideation process from beginning to end. There's a whole lot of journey that you go through between the thought between that content is published, right? And in that journey, we see that CMS, which is a commodity these days, no matter what platform you're using, we have our own CMS platform. It's 15% of that journey, because by the time you get to publishing, you've done all the work around strategy, campaign ideas, and so forth, right? So the heart of your work is in that initial 85%. And content management is a process. If you think about it, it's a workflow that you have to go through in order to get your content out there. But that initial period where you have to work as teams, to collaborate, to think of ideas, to create amazing content, that's where your real challenge as marketers live. And this is where we welcome, the funny thing is our product is called Welcome, our marketing orchestration and content marketing platform. So we have 4 main initiatives that we work with clients on, which is intake and resource management. So how do you as marketing teams, as content teams, as digital and product owners work internally to understand what allocations do you have and what brands and products and campaigns do you want to work on? Then you move into the campaign planning and execution. So as marketeers, you have a job to create as much relevance in the world that you live in. If you are a HR person, when you come into work, you log into your HRMS. If you're a finance person, you're going in, you're logging into your ERP. As a marketeer, you have all of these 43 different tools that we talk about, right? So we want to execute a process where we make it as easy as possible for you guys. We give you one certain look, certain view to your overall campaign planning and execution. We look at the content production and distribution process of that. All your agencies, all your external teams that you work with have one place to collaborate together on all the ideas that you have as a marketing team. We then help you to collate and store all these different assets that you'll use across all your touch points. One single place, right? We want to give you guys the keys to deliver outsized outcomes. And we try to make that as easy as possible. And we believe that because we want to make this as accessible as possible. So if you scan that QR code today, you'll get 5 free licenses to access our Welcome product. Free of charge. You can start to use it immediately. It's a SaaS solution. It'll take you 5 minutes to register and get up and running. And you can use it to start executing your campaigns and your marketing plans. Now, once you start to like it, I'm sure you're going to want to grow that. That's when you need to call me for some commercial discussions, but we can discuss that later. So, we talk about content being at the heart of great experiences. And as I said earlier, I spent a lot of time across the last 10, 15 years helping clients to build amazing experiences on their websites and their mobile apps. Now, by a show of hands, who understands the term experimentation? Got a few. Jesper, you can't put your hand up. You're the VP for our product. So what does experimentation mean? Well, at the heart of it, experimentation is to test, to experiment whether an idea, a hypothesis will work or will not, right? Now, in a digital world, a lot of us don't experiment. We come up with an idea and we hope and pray that it's going to work as a marketeer, right? But in our daily lives, we test 24/7. You test a recipe to see if you can make it better. You test different products that you might use for whatever you do in life, right? I myself, I'm a coffee fanatic, right? I don't enjoy coffee for the fuel that it gives me. I enjoy coffee as a process. I like to grind my own beans. Every 2 weeks, I try a different coffee bean variety. And I go through a process of manually extracting the coffee. And I take a dialogue every week. This bean requires 20 grams. I have to extract for an amount of seconds to really get the best result, right? It's all about testing. You test, you use data to drive an informed decision to the best possible outcome. Now, for you as marketeers, you spend a lot of time in having these ideas and going out there because you've got a lot of demand on your shoulders to get a product out there. You get it out, you use the idea of personas and personalization, but there's a big segmentation between where personalization and experimentation comes together. And this is where we talk about experimentation being your superpower. So, you want to become a superman, a superwoman in your organization. But you have a kryptonite. You're being asked to make decisions, not necessarily with all the data that will drive you for the best possible result. So how does that philosophy work? Well, when we look at the best organizations in the world, the Amazons, the Netflixes, so forth, Jeff Bezos will tell you to invent, you have to experiment. And if you know in advance that it's going to work, it's not an experiment. You're taking a gamble, you're taking a risk by thinking this will work. Trust me, I lived in the world of creating personas for clients for a long time. This is Ahmed, this is Murad. He is 25 years old. He likes these kind of things. We assume based on our strategy that this will work without actually going and testing it out. And when you look at digital leaders today, like I said, Amazon, Google, Booking.com, all of these platforms that drive billions and billions of interactions and transactions through their platform, they all experiment in one way or another. And they use scientific approaches to understand and get the best possible results they have as a business. Now, again, I've worked on the side of a digital agency before, where I've worked on website projects, okay? And we've been in that situation where there's always the hippo in the room. You work with the marketing team and the product teams for months and months on great design, great content. You get to the point of your website's nearly ready, your app's nearly ready, and you're about to publish. And then comes in the CEO or the chairman, the person or the individual who's not been connected closely to that project for that entire time, and they, based on an individual opinion, might not like the final product, right? That's the hippo in the room that we talk about. They might not like it based on their own individual view. And this is where things can fall down. I've been in a situation where I've spent 9 months on a website build. We've got it live, presented to the CEO, did not like it. We had to restart again. And it's a lot of cost. It's a lot of time. It's a risk to a lot of people in their jobs. So what do we talk about being, let data drive the decisions, not just the highest paid person's opinion. It's a very, very difficult thing to think about for you as an individual within your job, but it's an action that you have to take, because if you don't use science, you're going to get to a point of difficulty. Now, I like origin stories. I think they talk a lot about why companies exist today. And the origin story of Optimizely was a very interesting one. So back in 2005, there was 2 Google employees that were working for the Barack Obama presidential campaign. And their job was to see how they can help increase the number of what they called micro donations to the campaign. So a lot of people were contributing $10, $20, $30 to the campaign. And these guys' jobs was to use A/B testing to figure out how can we help increase that. So what is the concept of testing and A/B testing? Is that you have a control and you have a variation. In this particular case, the control, the Barack Obama website, had a very presidential commander-in-chief type of look, right? The variant was that we want to present Barack as a very much a family man, right? It's an extremely simple idea, but where do you think the numbers in terms of results happened after they implemented this variation? $60 million in additional campaign contribution based on a very simple idea. And that's the beauty of experimentation. It's not a big bang approach. It's micro improvements that you can make using data, using a scientific approach to get the best possible results. So these guys came up across a gold mine in their idea. And they were the pioneers for the A/B testing segment. So Optimizely created what's known as A/B testing and experimentation today. So we're very lucky when we talk about, we have history and pedigree and understanding of what we do in this space. Now, this number 3% might not mean a lot to you, but it's kind of the industry standard of what conversion rate optimization looks like. On average, if you start to use testing and experimentation, you get to a point of a 3% increase in the number of conversions. When we ran a study through all our customers that use our platform, we actually see on average a 5 to 15% increase in conversion rates and digital revenue outcomes by using the Optimizely platform. So we don't just talk about this is an idea. We use our impact to drive actual KPI influence for you as business owners. And when we look at some of the case studies that we have worked with, the Wall Street Journal, 64% increase in conversion rates for digital subscription. Now, numbers can mean a lot of things, but when you attribute them to value, this is where you can start to see a real difference. And again, customers who use the Optimizely experimentation platform, according to Forrester, see a typical ROI of about 286%. In your world, this could change the entire way you look at your MarTech stack, right? So where do we start? Experimentation, like I said, is a very scientific approach. And if you scan this QR code, there's an amazing book which is called The Big Book of Experimentation. Harvard, Stanford, real scientists who use the power of experimentation, and they work with big brands to understand how do you build a culture of experimentation in your business. You could use our product from today and see improvement, but it comes with a caveat. You have to create a culture within your business to continuously want to test. You will fail, but you will improve in the long term. And if you don't have that culture, if you don't push boundaries, then you're never going to evolve as a digital marketing team to get the best possible results for your business. So, won't take much more of your time. It's been a pleasure to be up here and speak with you guys. Myself, Jesper, who's the VP for Emerging Markets, and Yezan, who runs all our solution guru stack in the region. We're in the booth next door. If you want to have a chat, please come and speak to us. Thank you very much for your time.